Your life has every level of a World Cup player.
We did it!
Level 1. The Dreamer. You are 7 years old, born on a small island off the coast of Europe, where the Atlantic wind rattles the walls at night and the future feels like something that happens to other people. Your house is a single room with a tin roof that trembles under every storm. Your father cleans kits for the local amateur club, coming home more tired each year. Your mother cooks until her hands crack, then sells cake from the doorway just to keep the lights on one more week. You don't play football because you love it. You play because it's the only thing in your life nobody can take from you. 12 hours a day, barefoot, broken concrete, 2 stones for goalposts. The older boys shove you aside, laugh at you, tell you to go home. You refuse, they knock you down. You get back up. They score. You cry. Not because you lost, but because losing feels like watching your only way out disappear. Then one afternoon, a scout from the mainland stops at the edge of the street and watches you glide through 6 boys twice your size, playing with the desperation of someone trying to outrun his own future. Before he leaves, he writes one line. This kid plays like his life depends on it. Level 2. The Outsider. The scout doesn't disappear. He comes back, sits across from your father in that cramped one-room house, and offers him something neither of your parents has ever had, a way out in exchange for the one thing your father has left to give. Your father signs. The most important decision of your life is made before you're old enough to understand it. At 12 years old, you're crying on a plane while the island shrinks beneath the clouds. The city waiting on the other side is cold, loud, and completely indifferent. At the academy, nobody cares where you came from or what you sacrificed to get there. You're just one face among 40 boys chasing a single contract, and the rest make sure you feel it. The island kid, the skinny kid, the one who won't last. Even the club doctors have doubts, flagging your heart rate, certain your small frame can't carry what's inside it. Every insult becomes fuel. Long after the academy sleeps, you're still outside, running, lifting, falling, starting again, night after night, month after month. Eventually the crying stops, the talking stops, the fear stops. What's left behind is something far more dangerous, a boy quietly turning himself into a weapon nobody asked for. Level 3. The Sensation. That weapon turns 18 and the world finally starts paying attention. A preseason friendly against one of English football's most respected managers turns into a public execution. By full time, nobody's asking who you are anymore. They're asking what it'll cost to sign you. Weeks later, you're standing in a packed stadium in Manchester. 75,000 people. 75,000 expectations. English football doesn't want to outplay you. It wants to break you. The pundits call you a luxury, a highlight reel with no end product. So you adapt. You score. Then score again. The criticism gets quieter. The goals get louder. The trophies start arriving. So do the sponsorships, the fame, the first whisper of interest from a major American brand, curious about the kid from the island who plays like nobody's watching, and everybody's watching at once. From the outside, it looks like you've made it. But the higher you climb, the farther there is to fall, and someone is already waiting at the top. Level 4. The Rival. His arrival changes everything. Suddenly, football belongs to 2 people. He's quiet, smaller than you, less powerful, less athletic. And somehow none of it matters because the ball obeys him in ways nobody can explain. The comparisons never stop. You score 40 goals, he scores 45. You win an award, he wins one too. You break a record, he breaks another. You move to Spain not to avoid the comparison, but to force it, to stand on the same stage and settle it. The media turns it into a 2-man war. Fans choose sides, brands choose sides. His name goes on one global Giants jerseys, yours goes on another's billboards, and somewhere in boardrooms on different continents, 2 companies start betting on which of you will outlast the other. For the first time in your life, talent isn't enough. No matter how great you become, there's always one name standing beside yours. You stop chasing history, you start chasing him. Level 5. The Phenomenon. Years pass. The rivalry only grows, and somewhere along the way you stop being a footballer and become a phenomenon. A brand, a body, an obsession. While others slow down, you get faster. You drag your club to title after title. You become the top scorer in the history of European football, the all-time leading scorer for your country, a 5-time winner of the sport's biggest individual prize. You buy the houses, the cars, the private jet, a hotel chain, a clothing line, more zeros than most countries print in a year. Then comes the moment you've waited your whole life for, your country's first major trophy. The final whistle blows and you're crying on the sideline with your leg in a brace, unable to finish the match. For a moment, it feels complete. Then somebody asks one question, "Where's the World Cup?" And suddenly, everything you built feels unfinished again. Level 6. The Relic. Time wins eventually, it always does. A step slower, a recovery day longer, an injury that doesn't disappear. You return to the club that made you, dreaming of a perfect ending, and walk straight into chaos instead. The team collapses, the manager doubts you. The same voices that once praised you now call you finished. Finished? Finished? Finished. The word follows you everywhere. Meanwhile, your rival keeps winning, quietly building his own ending. You arrive at your 5th World Cup knowing this might be your last chance. The one trophy that's eluded you for 2 decades, the only one nobody puts in the same sentence as your records. You're benched. Your team collapses. You walk down the tunnel alone, and for the first time in years, football feels silent. Level 7. The Forgotten. The silence doesn't last. A week later, the final blow lands. You watch from a hotel room on the other side of the world as your rival lifts the World Cup into the sky. The image travels the planet in seconds, and 20 years of debate quietly end. Nobody mentions your records. Nobody mentions the goals, the prizes, the decades you spent as the best player alive. All anyone sees is the one thing he has that you don't. The world picks a winner, and it isn't you. You sign with a club in the Middle East, far from Europe's lights, while pundits who once feared you laugh at the paycheck. You sit in a mansion worth more than your entire childhood island, and for the first time, all the money in the world feels completely useless because it can't buy the one thing you actually wanted. Level 8, the Unfinished. But the story refuses to end because you're still here, still training, still breathing, and breathing is enough to keep fighting. Then the phone rings. One more World Cup. One final chance, not for a record, not for another goal, not for another contract, but for the only prize that was ever actually missing. You're past 40 now. Gray runs through your hair. Your knees ache before sunrise. But the moment you step onto the pitch, 80,000 people rise without being asked to. Not for who you are now, but for everything you survived to become. The young players in your squad don't see an old man. They see the reason they fell in love with the game. Somewhere in the same tournament, your rival is writing his own final chapter. Life, for reasons you'll never understand, has handed you one more script. Not to prove you were better than him, just to prove you were never finished. Level 9, the Eternal. 91st minute, your last match, your last chance, the final level. The stadium shakes beneath the weight of history. Your lungs burn, your legs feel empty, your body is begging you to stop. Then the cross arrives, high, slow, hanging in the night air. Everything freezes. You remember the island, the rain, the broken concrete, the midnight waits. Every person who called you finished. You jump. One last time. Higher than anyone thinks you can. Header, net. Silence. Then chaos. You don't need to watch it go in, you already know. You sprint to the corner flag, and you don't celebrate like a man relieved. You celebrate like a man who was right all along. Every goal, every billboard, every record, every trophy you stacked over 20 years. None of it ever mattered as much as this single piece of metal, lifted on this one night. You didn't just survive the fall, you turned it into the only story anyone will remember.